What's going on, everybody? This is Fritz, and this is the tutorial for Element 3D as I promised a while back. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Let me just say this isn't the best method. This is my method, and I think it works for me, and it's quick, and it's not too challenging. You know, it's pretty straightforward, and you know, it works good for episodes. You know, simple edits, and you can be creative with it as well if you get really in depth in it. But we'll just jump right into it. Right here, I have my cinematic. And you can see here I'm just running about my business, and I'm going to put some text, you know, maybe here, and then go over, maybe put some text here. So now, if you don't already know how to get cinematics, I did a tutorial on Dolly camera, and the link is on the screen right now. I'll put it nice big, like right, I don't know, over here or something. And go watch that if you don't know how to use Dolly camera and make your cinematics really smooth. I'm going to come back to this afterwards. And otherwise, we can just jump right into this. I like to, just real quick, I like to record my cinematics really slowly. So, I mean, this cinematic itself is, you know, 40 seconds long. And, I mean, you can always speed it up in your main composition. That's not a problem. It's better than having to make it look longer, and it's no good. So, I mean, more is better. So, we've got 40 seconds worth of cinematic, just really slow moving, you know, at 0.1 speed. And the first thing we're going to do in the adventure of Element or whatever is going to go to the, I'm going to close these, taking up too much room. We're going to go to the Effects and Presets tab and look up 3D Camera. There we go. Pops up right there. This is with CS6. If you don't have CS6, you're kind of on your own because I don't know what, you know, I don't know what camera trackers are there, but this is just for CS6. It's not hard to get. You just, you know, pick it up if you need it. Drop it on the layer, and we're going to click on this Advanced tab and hit Detail Analysis. And this just kind of makes it, it takes its time, and it makes a lot more points, so just let it work. I tend not to touch my computer when this is going out, you know, go do something else, play a little bit of Xbox, and then I'll come back when it's done. So you can see here, this is going to take 25 minutes, but keep in mind, you know, this is 40 seconds worth of a cinematic, so it will take its, you know, it'll take a while, but I don't need to do this right now. Just let yours go. It'll have a blue thing and then an orange thing saying solving camera. Just let it go. It's, you know, it's not hard. Just let it go. And then when it's done, it should look like this with a bunch of these dots. So now if you don't see the dots, most likely you just have to click on Camera Tracker up in the Effects tab right there, and you can see them all. So, you know, if it's like, oh, there's no dots, what do I do? Click. There you go. Okay, so now we're going to make the actual camera that Element is going to work with. So we've got a bunch of points here. Or like, you know, scroll through it, find a bunch of points, you know, sort of in the area where your text is. It doesn't matter really, because once the camera's made, it'll go for the whole thing, and you can make it as long as you want, as long as you have a good set of points at your initial spot. So for me, I think right here on the side of this hill is good. There's a lot of points bunched up. It's a flat area, and they're all like they're all on like the same plane, kind of, you know. It's like half of them are on a wall. It's gonna be good. So we're just gonna lasso around here, picking up as many points as I can. That's good. Kind of like just make a circle basically. And if you click on the little target thing it made, whoops, I missed it. Just lasso it again. Click on the little target thing, and I missed it again. Come on, Fritz. There we go. You can move it around, and you can just kind of see if it stays on the same spot. You know, like it looks like it's, you know, remaining against the ground, I guess we could say. So if it is, then that's the first time that it's going to work. Then I make a text and a camera, and the text is purely, you know, a way of just testing out to make sure it's good. And at this point, I would also recommend making a backup of this. So just go to, you know, File, Save As, and then name it Backup or something like that. And just save it twice in case something happens to this one. You don't want to lose all the time you spent, you know, solving the camera. So and it's real quick. So we're gonna go to the text right now. Just make sure it looks good. This has nothing to do with Element. This is just to make sure the track looks good and it works. So we're gonna put the text there. It doesn't really matter where it is. We'll put it floating. Oh, not that whole thing, just the text. We'll put the text floating up in the air, and we're just going to kind of play through it and see if it looks like it's staying in the spot, and it does, which means the camera is good. So we can get rid of the text now. We can also delete the camera tracker, because that's just going to make you lag like crazy. So all you need is the camera layer itself, which it made, and the cinematic layer itself. So now we're going to make element layer, so we're going to hit new, solid, doesn't matter what color, just name it E for element, it doesn't matter whatsoever. Then we're going to go to the Effects and Presets tab and look up Element, Video Copilot Element, and throw it on there. So I'm going to say right now, I can't help you get Element. I can't, if your Element doesn't work, I can't really help you there. This is just how to use it. So if you do have a working Element, this is how to do it, and this is how to use it, and how to make good tracks with it. So we've got our element layer on there. We're not going to touch it yet. We're going to make another layer, and this time it's going to be a text layer. But we don't want this one motion tracked. This is just going to stay 2D and actually hidden. So we got our text here. I'm just going to type in Fritz Presents. There we go. So we can move it around. Size doesn't matter. Location doesn't matter. I just like to put it like, you know, in the corner of my screen or somewhere dark where I can read it. So like right there is fine. We don't need these layers anymore. And now we're going to go to the element layer. So here we go, our black solid. And we've got group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5, all that stuff. We are going to go to custom layers to start off. We're going to click on the custom text and masks tab. And on path layer 1, select Fritz presents. And that is your text layer. So later on in the game when we have multiple texts, you can set them up, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. But for now, we're just doing the first one. So Fritz presents, select it. And you can close that now. We don't need that. Make sure it is on custom text and masks, otherwise it's not going to work. Then click on scene setup and hit extrude, and you should see Fritz presents in element. And it looks kind of dorky right now, but that's okay. We're going to make it look good with some bevels. So if yours didn't show up, just go back in the video and make sure you have it selected on the right layer, and or it could be your element, I don't know. But if you did everything that I did, you should be seeing it now. So now we're going to go to presets down here, and we're going to go to bevels. And we're going to pick one that we like. So, I mean, you don't have to do this. You can make your own. One method that I kind of, use is I'll pick one that I like, for example, Paramount. And then off of this, I will, I can change colors. I can change the amount of bevels. These settings are all for you to, experiment with. If I was to teach you everything, we'd be here forever. So I'm just going to pick one that I like right now. I think style is a good one to start off with. It looks good, and it's got some good reflection in it when we get to that part. So we're just going to leave with that. Click OK. And we don't need this text layer anymore either. We can turn that off. So right now you're probably wondering, well, where's the text? It should be showing up. Most likely it is. What I do to find it is I'll go to 0. If I don't see it, then I'll just go to 4. And then 8, and then 12, and then 16. And I'll just go up until I can see it, because it is somewhere in the camera. Somewhere. There it is. Found it. Okay, so if you see here, it is in fact tracked already, because if I hit play, you can see it. It will pop up in a second on the side of the screen. There we go. It is tracked with the camera. It's just not in the right location, and it's really small. So don't need to worry about that right now. We can just move it back. So what we're going to do is go back to the element layer. We are going to click on group 1. Particle replicator, and here we've got position X, Y, and position Z. First things first, we're probably going to want to have to move it back, so we're just going to click on position Z and drag it and move it around. So this you just got to kind of play with. I mean, you'll get a sense, just practice, in time, you'll get a sense of where everything is, and which way to move the text and stuff. So we need to move ours back a lot, it would seem. So we're going to have to really bring it back there. So we're like 9,000 now. And it's also really small if you haven't noticed. So that's actually looking good. That's kind of in the right, spot. If you want to make it bigger, go to the particle look one. I just leave particle replicator and particle look both open. We're going to make it bigger now, so we just click up the size. Doesn't really matter. I mean, you can, whatever looks best. There we go. We got the size in place. So now you want to move it kind of over here, let's say. Just use the position Z, or not position Z, position X and Y to move it down. And then position X to move it over, like your axis is. So now this part is purely, based on experience. I mean, whether you get it or not. I mean, there's not one, it's not really necessarily something you can just teach, putting it in place. And if you use Buju, you kind of can skip this. You don't have to find it, but you do have to use another program. And that's, not really all that fun. So I just do it this way. And there we go. Now it's already in place. That took 2 seconds. And if we were to go, let's say, where's the text come in? Right here, for example. Hit play. You can see we kind of, we're going to have to move the text again, obviously. We can see we have a very simple and very clean text. We got the presents right there. And the soldier will keep running through right beside it. And we'll see Fritz pop up. And in a motion track, that is kind of nice. So there we go. We got the simple motion track done. So that's like the skeleton of it. Now we're going to do a few things to make it look good. Let's say, I think we need to move it over a little bit so it doesn't move it up, I guess, so our camera doesn't go through it. One tip of advice I must say is don't ever make your camera go through your text. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to move this down for a minute to show you what I mean. If we go up a little bit, you can see the camera kind of comes in through the text like this, like, it kind of goes right through the text. You never want that. You want your camera to be either above or beside it or whatever, just never through it. So we're going to move it up and move it over. and that way our camera doesn't go through it, and that looks good to me. So now we're going to do a few things just to make it look a little bit nicer. We can make it a little bit bigger, and at this point also, if you want to edit your font, you can do so. Just turn on your text layer. There it is down there. And what's neat about Element is, I'm going to save this real quick, you can, you know, kind of edit and it'll render on the spot. So let's say my name isn't Fritz and my name is Steve. Steve Presents, and there we go, Steve Presents, and it just renders locally, and it's kind of neat. You can change the font the same way, like just treat this layer down here and, like, you know, do whatever you want to it. We can change the font to something else, like let's try this one, Convoy. It's a cool font. Look at how sick that looks, and it's done just like that. It's really neat. So if you want to change your font, that's how to do it. I'm gonna stick with typograph for now because it's simple and it's doesn't take too much out of my After Effects to use. Alright, there we go. So, perfect. Okay, so we got that one in. Let's say a little bit more, we want to add a little bit of reflection to this now. So right now it's just kind of a solid color. We want to make it reflect. So what we're going to do is kind of go to the main frame where we're going to look at it. So I mean, right here is when you can fully see Fritz. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It should be more like kind of when, like, you can just see the full thing right there. Fritz Presents. What we're going to do is we're going to go to our cinematic layer, which is this thing in the back here. The very bottom layer, just hit Control-C, Control-V to duplicate it, and then on the bottom one, so down here, by the way, if it takes a long time to duplicate, that's probably because you still have the camera tracker on it. Just, you know, like I did at the beginning, I made a backup and I deleted it. So they should be quick. They should be just, you know, plain simple, you know, layers right now, nothing on them. But we're gonna go to the bottom one, right click on it, go to time, and go to freeze frame. We want to freeze it in location. Then we're going to go to the element. We're going to close group 1 for now, and we're going to go back to the custom layers tab. But this time, rather than going to custom texts and masks, it's kind of hard to say, we're going to go to custom texture maps, and there should be nothing here yet. We're going to go to layer 1 and select the frozen frame, which is layer number 5. There we go. Now we're going to go back up to scene setup, and this time we are going to wait for it to load. There we go. We're going to click on environment. And here we can see this is the environment it has as a default, but that looks kind of ugly with this map. We're going to go down to our custom layer 1 down here. There it is. Hit OK, and if you can see already, I don't know if this is that, you know, good, but you can see it is reflective in the you know, letters already, and it looks so much better on here. When you actually hit play, there you go. You can see it reacts with the environment, and it just looks really nice. So don't forget to do that. And if you want to increase the reflectivity of it, you know, just go in here, go to the, you know, so this would be this layer, yeah, that one, and we're just gonna find the reflection down here. We're gonna make it really intense, and there you go. You can see much more reflection in it, but we don't need to do that right now. It looks good the way it is. So that's how to increase the reflection. All that stuff you kind of need to experiment on your own. Like I said, I can't really teach it, but I'm just sort of setting you up on how to, you know, do some stuff. So we got that down pat. And let's say what we want to do is we want to make it come down from the sky. We don't necessarily have to, but let's say we want to make it fall down from the sky. What I mean by that is in Dare Fronts and Dare Dashers app, I kind of made it explode. Same sort of idea as that. What we're going to do is go back to the element. So up here, go to group 1, and we want to go to multi-object right here and enable that. And this gives you a ridiculous amount of you know, things you can do. And you can keyframe them all. So like here we've got displace, and scatter, and it makes them scatter. We can do rotation. We can make them all rotate randomly like that and mess with that, and you can keyframe it all. So let's say we want it to be kind of really rotated at the start. We can go to rotation random and scatter them a little bit as well. So we're going to scatter them. I'll do Z and Y. We're just going to keyframe them at 0. Go to our element layer, which is right here. Just hit U, and you can see our keyframes. We're going to move these all down because they're all at 0. And we're going to make the rotation, you know, high, make this one kind of high, make this one kind of high. And then if you watch it over, if you hit play, you can see it's kind of rotated and it goes into place, and it looks really, really neat. So those are some simple settings there. Just mess with it, you know, figure it out on your own kind of, but that's where all those settings are located. Under multi-object, you have to enable it, and then they'll all show up, and you can keyframe them as if you were keyframing a normal effect, and it looks pretty neat. So you can also do this if you want to make it float from the sky. You can just keyframe, like, you know, position X and Y. So I'm going to go to this last group of keyframes here where I want it to be, you know, normal. Keyframe position X and Y. Go over here, and we'll make it start up in the sky. We're going to bring Y up high. one of the two, I forget. Oh, no, the other way up. There you go. Up you go. And if you watch it over, it appears to be falling from the sky. So, I'll hit play. You can watch it. So there you go. So, I mean, do whatever looks best. Don't do anything too crazy, because it is supposed to be, you know, just clean, and so you can read it. But if you want to get creative with it, then by all means go for it. So yeah, that's it. I'm not going to keep that keyframed X and Y thing, because I don't think that looks good. I like just the rotating. I think it looks kind of neat. So that's that. If you want to add another text layer, so let's move up in the timeline. We want text to come up right here, let's say. What we're going to do is we are going to just kind of do everything we did with Fritz Presents, but on a new layer. So we're going to bring our text down here. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to duplicate Fritz Presents so it's the exact same. And we can turn the layer on. We got to move it because, you know, we got to move it slightly over the top. So if we turn both on, they're not overlapping. We're going to name this something else. So we're going to name this Fritz Presents Element Episode 20. Or 32. Okay, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to go to Element, go to Custom Layers, and the same thing as we did the first time with Fritz Presents on Layer 1 on Text and Masks. We're going to make this Layer 2. We're going to select Element 32, whatever the name of the text is. We can turn that off now. We don't need it. Now we're going, this is where you kind of have to be careful. You're going to have to go to Scene Setup, hit Extrude again, and it's going to bring you right up to Fritz Presents again. So what you have to do is you have to go to Custom Path and select number 2, and there's element 32, because that's, we put it on the second path layer. So you like path 1, path 2, and we're gonna go to this. We want the same bevel, unless you want trying to be creative and you want to change it around. But I had style the first time, and the reflection's already there. You don't need to do the environment again. And this next thing's very important. What you have to do is up here you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the groups. So we don't want it to be on the same group. We want this to be on its own. So we are going to uncheck group 1 and check group 2. All you have to do, click OK, and then we've got element 32 showing up right somewhere, right there. Oh, not quite right there. Right there. There we go. So this time, you know, just go to group 2. Same thing as we did the first time. I open up particle look and particle replicator. We can make it bigger with the size. If you want to rotate it, just go to rotation. Turn it around, do whatever you got to do. There we go. So we got our new text in there. Looks kind of neat. And if you want to do the rotation again, just go to multi-object, click on it, enable it, and then do all the keyframings down there again. But I'm not going to do that again. We already showed you that. Just go back to the video if you need it. So we got that done. Now we're going to do a little bit of masking. So I'm going to get rid of this element 32 so it's not cluttering the screen. And what I mean by masking is if I zoom up here, you can see we got Fritz Presents way back there. Whoops. Fritz Presents way back there. And then if we keep going up, I don't think the soldier should run over it at any point. I don't think he does. No, he doesn't. So masking is basically when you want to put it behind an object. So you can see right here, I know it's kind of small. I'll make it bigger real quick. Group 1, size. We want it much bigger for this. Whoops. Not that size, this size. There we go. So we got it much bigger. We'll move it up as well. I mean, why not? We gotta show you this anyway. So, you can see here how it appears. It should be going behind the wall, but it's not. So how we do that is, and this applies to, you know, anything, any sort of masking you do. What you do is you duplicate your cinematic layer. So make sure it's not the frozen one. It's the one that's moving. Just duplicate it and put it on the very top. Just like that. So it'll, you know, if you turn it on and off, there's your text. We're going to grab the pen tool. We are going to click here, or not, just kind of anywhere where the wall is, and just kind of create like an invisible barrier. And then there we go, we got that done. And then you can see it looks like it's behind the wall. So now something you can do to make your mask look a little bit better is I turn the feather on a little bit. I turn it on 1, just like that, and it just kind of spoons it out. And keyframe your mask path, and I just click up here, and then as it moves on, you move this down. You might have to let it load for a second so you can actually see it. Of course, Element's taking a lot of my RAM, so I can't do that. So we'll just, you know, move it around, set it up so it is not overlapped by a wall. And take your time on the masks. I mean, they're really important that you know, take your time on them, and they look good. So that's it. Now it looks like it's behind the wall, and you just got to keyframe it, and you know, one by one with the mask path, and making sure they look good. And you know, I can't stress enough how you need to take your time on this part. So that's the basics of Element. Just keep practicing with it. That's the only advice I can give you. I mean, the hardest part of this is honestly getting your text in the right position. And the best thing you can do is just keep RAM previewing it and keep making sure it looks like it's in place. If it's moving faster than the floor below it or slower than the floor below it, most likely you're gonna have to tweak your Z-axis and put it so it looks like it's floating right there. It's going the same speed as everything else in whatever direction you're moving. So that's it. This was a bit of a long one, but hopefully it works out. Hopefully you guys know how to use Element now. And one thing I also recommend you do in Element real quick is go to your render settings down here and just check ambient inclusion. It just makes it look a little bit darker. It makes it fit in with the map a little bit nicer. So if I go over here, we don't want the mask layer over here, so we're just gonna split the mask layer right where we want it to start, so that way it's not overlapping up here. It just makes it look really nice. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and this is very straightforward, very simple, but I mean, hopefully you learned something. And leave a like on the video. And I'm Fritz, and I'm out, and peace.